good morning. It's 11:11 on the 16th of September, and this is Issac David Brigmond, also known as the pastor of the Christian Hearts Christian Fellowship online ministry, and I wanted to talk to y'all today on the Issac David Brigmond Show. Well, okay, I'm going to start with today being a recipe day. Okay, on recipe day, well, actually, every time we do a show, it's going to be recipe day, but it's going to be a segment within it. So, what we're going to talk about right now is, you take you some, let's see, what do you do? Oh, yeah, you take you some coffee that you just made in the coffee maker, some whatever kind of shake you want, like the proteins or the whey or wheat shakes. You take, see, what else do you take? You take some Ovaltine, some sweetener, some creamer, powdered creamer, and you could add some of that their coffee. Not coffee. Add some of that their powder that you mix in your water that makes your water taste like root beer. Anyway, just mix all that up in a. If it's too warm for you, you could mix it up with some ice cubes and serve that to yourself or your friends or family members. But anyhow, that turns out to be a good thing there. Also, I want to talk about. You ever notice it seems like when we have a man in politics who pretty much does what he's supposed to do, next thing you know, somebody's out there trying to say that he did something he didn't supposed to do or need to do. And that aggravates me because I'm thinking, if the man is doing what God said, then why are we complaining? We complain about we don't have a man in the White House or in the government or in the Senate or in the sheriff's seat or the mayor's seat, and we complain that they don't do what we want them to do. But when we get them to where they'll do what we want them to do, when we complain because, they did something that went against something we stood for. Well, knowing if we stood for what we originally said we stood for, then he wouldn't be going against it. But see, that's the thing with people. People complain too much. People make too much fusses. And we all know folks out there that complain too much, and they'll start something, and I don't get it. I just don't get the mentality of it. Why does people say, okay, I'm going to do something and say something, and you're going to have to go along with it? Well, yeah, that may sound good, and all, but do you not realize that when we say we're going to do something for someone or against them, we're not really trying to do something against no one or something? Like if I say I'm going to go buy a car, now, I may say I'm for or against somebody why I'm doing it. Now, if I don't really prove that to you, all I got is what I say. So, words mean nothing until actions are proven that those words mean something. And that's where we get confused a lot of times because we're too busy telling the world where they're going to be doing something or not doing something, and we didn't prove to them that we were serious. We didn't prove to them we was honest. And when you have friends on the internet, now, the topic today is basically, things that you need to know about that come from me because we need to get these things addressed. Number one was about when you have a man in the seat that you are voting for, if he does what you say you wanted him to do, why complain later and say he didn't do it? He didn't stand up and be this way. He didn't stand up and be that way. See, that's the thing I don't get with people. They'll complain too much, and then they'll say, well, he didn't say this or he didn't do that. He did what you asked him to do. He just didn't do it in a certain manner, so it to you may look like he didn't do it at all, or either you see it and you still complain. Okay, and number two, watch what you say on the internet because people will, if you talk to them on the internet and then they don't get you to continue talking to them and you basically decide you got to quit for a while because it doesn't work right for you or for them, then they take upon themselves to say, oh, well, if you ain't going to talk to me no more, that I'm just going to take and do this thing where I'm going to tell people that you said this or you said that so that they'll believe that you did something wrong, and then they'll believe me over you. Well, that junk got kind of ridiculous with folks. I mean, I've known of people to talk to folks, and they'll be having what they think is a good conversation with them, and then one day it just, out of the ordinary or out of the blue, it comes up, this person that they were talking to said or done something uncomfortable, and then they had to quit talking to them because of it. So then when they did, then the person that done the uncomfortable thing found out the other person stopped talking to them, so then they had to be like, well, if you're not going to talk to me no more, I'm going to tell some stuff on you. And you're like, what the world are you doing? You know, I'm just saying, if you don't like somebody quitting on you for stuff that, like, give you an example. Say if I was talking to you, and then all of a sudden you decided you wanted to say something you shouldn't to me, and then say I had to stop talking to you because you did that thing. So then you found out that I did, and so when you found that out, you got mad at me for it. So you like, well, if you're going to stop talking to me like that, then I'm going to ruin your life. Basically say things about you that weren't true. Now that makes no sense. And guys, well, if you get in a relationship with somebody and it don't work out, because I'm in a good relationship myself, but I've known guys to be in relationships that I know they weren't happy with, and instead of getting out when they should have, they stuck with it, and they ended up making a mess of themselves. And they should have just said, look, if we're not going to be in a happy relationship, get out. I mean, a lot of men and women save a relationship, try to put back the broken pieces because they got kids involved. But sometimes if it ain't working out, you don't want to hurt the kids by putting them through your mess, because then they're going to have some hard feelings in their life, and they're not. And people are going to ask them, why do you feel this way? Why do you act this way? And they're going to have to say, because my mom and dad are not getting along too well right now, and it's affecting my life. See, now you don't want to do that. I mean, how many times have you ever lived in this world where you really knew that something was going on? You knew something was going on, and nobody wanted to say nothing about it. Because, okay, give an example. You know something is going on with a child that you pretty much have some dealings with. So that child pretty much is like this. You basically have this thing going on where I'm a guy, and I am either a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher or whatever you want to say. And I deal with kids, and say if I deal with kids and I am dealing with them and I know that some of those kids have problems, but the kids will not tell me the problems. Now, if the kids ever confessed half of what was going on with them, they'd have to say that their emotional problems have to do with their families not getting along so well. So that tells me right there, you know. And, you know, if you don't want to talk about it with people, that's okay, but at least find you somebody you can vent to, you can give that attitude to, because it's not going to do no good to sit there and complain and to quarrel and fuss because you pretty much didn't want no one to have to deal with the situation. Come on, we know that you want to be the guy that you want to say, okay, I'm a good guy or I'm a bad guy, and I have a life that I deal with. The life that I deal with, okay, you know, should not, okay, like if I'm a good guy, then I should reflect that to my world that I live in. But if I'm a bad guy, then I should just leave folks alone, because if I do, I'm going to cause problems. Okay, that also includes if you're a bad man, if you're the fault in your relationship, then that means the best thing you do is talk to them and tell them, look, this isn't working out and we got to do something. I don't know what it is we got to do, but we got to get this situation straightened out. So if they say, okay, well, let's see, where do we stand? Are we still anything there, or should we, you know, divorce or break up or separate or what? And then later on move on. Because you can't say, if you got kids in the story, you can't let those kids be affected by what you're going through, because if you got a bad relationship, I've seen kids get all in a position where mom and dad in their life got split apart. But as I always say, no matter if I said it out loud or in my head, the kids should not be as much worried about mom and dad as they should be about Father God, because Father God is going to help them find where they stand with their own parents, where they need to be with their own parents. And you don't need to be putting yourself out there, where you're a child and you're confused in this world and you don't know where you stand because you've been seeing all these crazy things going on, and you are feeding yourself these beliefs that if you live in a house that is not together, that's how you're supposed to live. What you do, people, is you try hard to explain to people, I'm a guy, and I know that I'm a guy, yes. So if I'm a guy, then I need to learn that I need to put myself in a relationship with a woman where I know both of us is going to be able to make it. If we have our problems, then we need to figure out how to work them out. And if it ain't going to work out, go your separate ways. But let's hope and pray to God and Jesus hard and long that the problems you have will be before you have any kids. So if you have to go apart, then no kids will be hurt in the situation. Because if you're in a relationship and kids are involved, and then y'all have to go apart from each other, it's hard on kids because you don't know what to do when dad gets a girlfriend or mom gets a boyfriend or you get this uncle dude there's all kinds of metaphors that people are using to try to cover up what's really going on in front of their kids. And you know what? If you're not happy with who you're with, then the best thing you do is work it out to where either you stay together with a better situation or you split up, divorce, or whatever, and make it clean, make it right with God. When you do this, then if you move on, that's okay. But at least you know you moved on honestly. You didn't move on through a cheating situation. Because there's a lot of men and women that will move on to the next person without actually saying to themselves, what's my life like right now? My life is, well, I have somebody, and that person I'm not getting along with them. So let's see what's going on. Should I still be with them or not? If I should be with them, stay with them. If I shouldn't be with them still, then let's go on and be something else. Like maybe friends that decide they can go see who they want to. And they're not nothing to each other no more but friends. But just don't put yourself in that position where you have to feel like, I got to cheat to move on. No, you can move on without cheating if you have to move on. If you don't have to move on, don't do it. That's what I'm saying. And folks, I understand that here's another one I want to talk about. I know some of y'all have responsibilities to take care of some folks, but take care of them. Don't sit there and run their life to where they can't do nothing. Yes, there are a lot of elderly people. There are a lot of handicapped people out there that need you to take care of them. But when you do, would you stop trying to act like you run their entire life? You don't run their life. You take care of them. They need to be able to go to church when they need to go. They need to be able to go get groceries. Even if it's you driving them down there, stop trying to tell them what they're going to do when knowing you got to do for them what God told you to do to start with. I done seen this how many times, people getting all upset because, they can't go where they got to go because somebody was supposed to take them there, but they wouldn't take them there because that person didn't want to go there that day. Wake up. Wise up, smart up. I'll come back to you in just a little while. Come on, folks. But come back to you in just a little while.